All right, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you may be, and welcome back to Honey Badger Arcade. My name is Brian. I'm here with John, the problematic white guy, and this is the Weekend Culture. How you doing, John?
Oh, awesome as always. Had a bit of a tech issue, as everybody knows, or I've mentioned a few times here. My Steam Deck was not in good shape. The front screen was coming off, and it seemed that the battery needed to be replaced. So I finally got that done last Monday, and seemingly now all the issues are taken care of. Evidently, though, the internal speakers got damaged from the battery swelling, but it still has Bluetooth control and still works with the USB HDMI connection. So
Yeah.
ultimately, yeah. And I'm not really planning on ever using this one as a travel device. If I, once I can afford to get an OLED model, I will probably get one of those at some point in time. So this is my de facto Linux PC. So everything's as good as it can be. Yeah, the battery itself is like, 3 times the size that it's supposed to be. So
Oh.
yeah, that's the old one, of course. But the new one works great. The first 2 days, for whatever reason, like every 4 or 5 hours, the
Yeah.
Steam Deck would just shut off and restart. But
Yeah.
after the first day or so of it kind of recalibrating itself, now everything's working fine again. So cannot
You
complain.
basically just put like a V8 engine in it.
Yeah.
Why not? More power. That's exactly the way.
Indeed.
All right. Well, good. I'm doing well, and now, so we've had like a few slower news days, but there's lots going on now. So we have a packed show, even some stuff that I didn't mention to you as I was like going through everything. There's so much I want to cover. So, well, we're gonna go ahead and jump right in. But if you guys could, if you don't mind, hitting that like button or whatever the equivalent of that is on your platform of choice, whether that's X or Rumble or YouTube. I'm on all three of those places. Smash that like button so we can reach more people. All right. Zerank says, hear ye, hear ye. Those of you who were here an hour ago, you are all schmucks, but we love our schmucks here. Imaginary bear for all for $5. Thank you, Zeranks. Sorry, that was my fault. So like I stream on during the week. I just do game streams. And I've been doing a few game streams, and those are always set to 10 o'clock in the morning. And this show is at 11 o'clock, and I just got my wires crossed a little bit. Yeah. So I didn't want to start it that early because I don't think John would be up.
Actually, I was, and I saw it first. I was like, oh, we got to get do the show in 15 minutes. Like, no, thankfully in the description,
that was my mistake. That was
I figured it was something like that. But yeah, the description still said 11 a.m. Eastern, so I was like, these things happen.
Yeah, it was a mistake on my end. So if the Rumble stream is frozen, try refreshing real quick. I think that is more of an issue with the servers on because I noticed that sometimes live streams they'll stutter because they're for whatever reason. If you're streaming really high resolution, maybe there'll be an issue with that. So all right,
Rumbles can be a pain in the ass, but
it should be fine. Just try refreshing, maybe set it back a couple seconds so that you can keep up. I didn't set it to where, because I know that you can set your streams up so that people can't move around the timeline and it's just frozen at live, but I don't do that. I don't want to anyway. I want people to be able to catch up if they come in late. But anyway, that's all issue,
I think this is the issue they're having is that you can't really see it, but it's just the thumbnail with a spinning wheel going on, at least on my phone. Yeah.
Oh, well, I'm looking at it on mine and it's live. So I'm watching the Rumble stream myself.
All right. Well,
and
I'll try a different method. Just
it could be just something that you need, like I said, needs a refresh or something.
Yeah. That does happen.
Or because sometimes it's like that. So let me give some shout outs and then we're going to get into the stories. So we got Zeranks, what's up? John Ford, hello. Norwegian Black Templar, what's up? Zeranks again. I already said Zeranks, didn't I? And Furious Dan just joined. Retro Overkill. Shout out to you guys. Shout out to you too, Furious Dan. And Robert Johnson, who was here earlier, and John Ford. So so anyway, let us get into today's stories because we got a lot of ground to cover. So first, we're going to be talking about the Ghost of Yotei, which I guess came out.
Yeah, I believe
I didn't notice.
Right. I kept hearing about it, and I kept saying, "Oh, okay." That was kind of my take on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not really anything to get too terribly
So
excited about.
yeah, so just real quick, the Ghost of Yotei is essentially the sequel to the Ghost of Tsushima, which was a game that I never played it. I don't own it, but a lot of people were telling me that that game is goated as like
That one
a really good game because I guess of the way that they not just like the gameplay stuff, but also the way that they handle the sort of the I don't want to say role playing aspects, but I guess the choices you make as a character and the main character of Jin is actually very appealing, and it is definitely a love letter to samurai films of the Kurosawa era,
Yeah.
and it even has like a black and white mode. So there's a lot to like about Ghost of Tsushima from what I heard.
Yeah, first one
And
is great. First one's
yeah,
quite good. It's probably the last good thing that Sucker Punch will have ever done.
yeah. So that's that. Sucker Punch. Didn't they do the Infamous games? Those were okay.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah. I'm just
no, I
saying.
don't think they were great. I thought they were
No,
okay.
no. They used to be a
Yeah.
serviceable company, but what I'm saying is it will be the last good thing that they've ever done. Because
Yeah.
you look at the design teams from the Ghost of Tsushima
Oh, I
compared
have
to.
something for that.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah.
You're talking about this?
Yes. Yeah. Something seems to have
I
changed.
wonder what the issue might be. I wonder what's changed. Yeah. So the Ghost of Yotei is out. I don't know what the numbers are in terms of sales, but I have seen there's been some discussion around it. I'll look. It's probably done okay, but what I'm hearing is a lot of people are not as enthusiastic about this game as they were the first one. It is considered objectively worse, sorry, than Ghost of Tsushima. That doesn't mean it's a bad game, but that means it's an inferior game. And let me see what I have some notes here. So the Ghost of Yotei, the comparison story wise, overall, the Ghost of Yotei story is widely regarded as worse than Ghost of Tsushima, trading the original's poetic, introspective depth for a more straightforward revenge thriller. While Tsushima masterfully wove themes of honor, identity, and the clash between tradition and survival into Jin Sakai's arc, creating emotional highs through moral ambiguity and haiku-infused reflections, Yotei feels shallow, focusing on Atsu's linear quest to dismantle the Yotei Six with flashbacks that reveal betrayals but lack the philosophical weight. So it basically, Ghost of Yotei is just a straight up revenge story, and it sounds like it's just trying to do Kill Bill or something like that, right?
Yeah.
And while Ghost of Tsushima is actually like asking, kind of like it's proposing interesting questions about morality.
Right.
And it's making things a lot more complex. And I guess I don't know for sure, but I think in Ghost of Tsushima, let me know if you've played that game and you can like help fill this in because I haven't played it. You can make choices to either do things more honorably or not. But that's what I heard. I might be wrong about that. So don't hold me to that. That's just what I heard.
Yeah,
And
there is
yeah, go
some
ahead.
moral component to it in terms of how Jin will develop as a character, but the themes are very reminiscent of Metal Gear Solid, the Snake Eater, in the sense of what's more important to be loyal to, the people your effectively your heritage, or just kind of like a cause or what have you. So yeah, it's a lot more introspective, but this just seems like it's just cash grab fodder that could have. It seems like it was probably like a DLC expansion that then just got turned into a full blown. Let's just make this
Ghost of Yotei.
Yeah.
Didn't Tsushima have like a multiplayer thing that they came out with, an online version or something?
Well, there was the
Forgive me
original
if I'm
release
wrong,
in
but I
there,
heard something. Yeah.
and then there was the director's cut. I don't recall there being necessarily a multiplayer. I only played so much of it. I've got it on my PS5,
Yeah.
and I enjoyed what I played. The mechanics were solid and sound, and it seemed really well put together. but I never got all the way through the story because at that point in time, I just kind of stopped giving a shit about my PS5. So
Yeah.
at some point in time, I have considered, I was like, oh, maybe I'll just get it for my Steam Deck instead. But then that's when all the Eric Ishii business started to creep into my news feeds, and I was like, no, never mind. I'll just revisit it at some point, but I haven't actually finished it just yet. But it is a good game mechanically, the first one. So.
One of the things that I thought about when with regards to Yotei is that I feel like this is just speaking without getting into like my personal beliefs about whether or not this game is woke, leaving that aside because I know it is, and I've seen the way that the voice actress who was modeled after this character, or who this character was modeled after rather, the way that she acted and stuff, and I get all that. I'm completely behind it, like the uglification. But there's another thing too, is that Assassin's Creed Shadows just came out. And now this game is just that. Like,
yes.
It's like they're just doing another Assassin's Creed Shadows. And that doesn't like that. I mean, in almost every way, because you have a Western developer and they were, more or less, like I guess you could say reliable for decent content. And they decided to go in this other direction. And Assassin's Creed Shadows is, I mean, maybe it's more woke than Yotei. I'm not sure. Because it's got like, that's why I'm saying like setting aside that stuff,
right.
But you're basically doing the same thing. And is it like when it comes to female protagonists, are all you guys can do revenge stories? But that seems to be like the only thing you're capable of doing is some revenge girl power fantasy girl boss thing. Like that's all you know how to do, because anything that asks more of your protagonist is going to be seen as potentially sexist to women. So you have to like make their stories really simple and black and white. Otherwise, that you might be asking too much. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I just think it's they both have. So like Assassin's Creed Shadows also has a revenge fueled narrative set against a feudal Japan backdrop. They both hunt down a cabal of antagonists, like both of the main characters, are responsible for familial massacres. So and then there's like basically it's just like a copy paste of the same plot. So so it's just kind of like, okay, so well, I mean, look at who was behind developing it.
Yeah,
just saying.
Yeah, no, the protagonist stories for the female characters are pretty much identical. The only thing that might make Assassin's Creed slightly woker is their complete invention of Yasuke. Yasuke is
but like the Yasuke character, like he barely has a story because he wasn't even supposed to be in the game. So you have a character who has like no story and he's just like awesome at everything and everybody likes him. And so that's just like lazy as shit. And then you have like the actual story, which is generic revenge plot. I mean, I personally think that the Assassin's Creed franchise went off the rails a long time ago.
Oh yeah.
But this doesn't help any. And I think that these Ghosts games, I think this is probably a wrap for them. But we'll see. I don't know what the sales are for Ghost of Yotei yet, but we'll take a look like later on if there's time. So, I got some comments I want to shout out. Real quick. Hello, Juliana Vaughn. Welcome to the stream. We are talking about games news. I hope you're okay with that, and cultural news. So please consider hanging around and sharing your thoughts. So let me see. I'm just going to look at the chat really quick. So Robert Johnson said Tsushima had woke garbage in it, but people pretty much overlooked the nonsense. Now they get the full protagonist treatment. I don't know. Can you tell me what woke garbage was in it? I'm not saying I don't believe you. I just want to know what the elements are, and also like how you define that. Personally, when it comes to these kinds of games, I think Sekiro is still the GOAT in my opinion. Although I may get into Ghost of Tsushima later when it's like on sale, like sale. Zerank says, interestingly, the best female characters these groups write tend to be female villains. They're the most capable, but they're not supposed to win, and they can get put through the ringer as a result.
Right. Well, that's
yeah.
they identify with them a little bit more.
They do identify. Well, they usually make their heroes more like villains. So,
right.
Mr. 0303 says feminists do like their revenge against men. Yeah, I mean that's usually like how that goes. John Ford says just get Ninja Gaiden 4 instead.
Valid.
Lesbian girl bosses in Tsushima. Yeah. Okay. So what? Let me see. Is there? Let me see what's next here. So,
While you're looking at that, I mean,
Yeah.
Erika Ishii, before she was hired for this, she was Miss Freeze back in,
Oh, she was in the Suicide Squad.
Yeah, in Gay Suicide Squad, and she was also
goodness.
She was also the Sector for the terrible Mortal Kombat 1, I believe, the one where Kim Bel-Air was Cyrax.
Was she
Mortal Kombat, as I call it? Yes.
Wait, was she Jade? She wasn't. Wait, she was one of
no. She was the Sector. She was the red side.
Oh, Sector.
And Kim Bel-Air's the yellow one. So.
Okay. Cyrax and Sector. Oh, jeez, that is wow. So she's getting work, is what we're saying, but not nearly as much work as I forget her name. Every time I do the show, I know her name. The black lady that's in everything with the bulgy eyes. She's in everything.
Yeah.
So, yeah, she's almost getting as much work as her. That lady is like the Nicolas Cage of video game actors. She's in everything. She's like the Pedro Pascal. Let's put it that way. Anyway, so
said, black lady with bulgy eyes, and I was thinking Cynthia Erivo.
Yeah,
that's movies. That's movies. That's not games. But I know what you're talking about.
It's on the tip of my tongue. I know you guys know who I'm talking about. But so Ghost of Yotei is out and nobody noticed, or at least not a lot of people. I didn't see a lot of like memes being shared, not memes, but like, usually when these games come out, people share clips online that show off like either, really bad voice acting, buggy gameplay, or maybe like just some other like obvious like on the nose woke shit that's in the story. I haven't seen a lot of that, but I also haven't seen a lot of enthusiasm either. I've seen basically nothing. So maybe I'm wrong, but
I've seen a few bug reels, but those could just be remote incidents. I haven't, not to the degree to where like there's 15 videos of people talking about how terrible it is, but I have seen some things where there's some clipping issues and this and that. But
all right.
But
Mr. 0303 says that she plays Jade in the upcoming Mortal Kombat movie.
Yes. Yeah. So she is firmly ingrained in.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
I wonder now. So like back in the day, you used to be like you used to have to, like do a really good showing at a rehearsal or like a tryout in order to get a job as an actor. Now you just have to be like a lesbian woman of color and they'll just give you the job, right?
Right.
Queer lesbian woman of color that wants to, that doesn't have an opinion either way on the Palestine-Israel conflict.
Gotta get those ZSG scores.
But they're definitely pro-Ukraine. By black lady with bulgy eyes, you mean the actress who got her start on Mad TV? Is that who that is? I'm not sure. Oh, I liked Mad TV, but you know what? That might be the person. It might be the same person. What a shame. She's become incredibly unfunny.
All right.
Now,
anyway. I thought the gal who was playing Jade was the one who was the chick in Heretic Prophecy or whatever, the terrible Naughty Dog game. I thought that's who it was, but
Heretic Prophet, the Asian girl.
Yeah. I thought that's who was doing Jade, but they're effectively the same NPC, just in different bodies. So
I feel like that game, that Heretic, the whatever Intergalactic, the Heretic Prophet, it is like doomed to underwhelm. I don't know. They would have to have some amazing fucking gameplay when that shit comes out.
Yeah.
So, Deborah Wilson. Yes, Deborah Wilson is the bulging eyes lady. Yes, that's right. Yes.
Yeah. I recently got the new soundtrack for Tron because it was 9 Inch Nails, right? And objectively, I mean, I do love me some 9 Inch Nails. I think Trent Reznor is a musical genius, but he's in his 60s now, and you can tell that they just
not there. It's not the same.
It's all right. It's serviceable, but it's not anything like wow inducing.
Didn't
So
didn't
they're
Trent Reznor do the soundtrack or score for Social Network?
yes, he did. That was
Okay, yeah.
that was one of his first breakaways from doing, and he wanted to separate that from Nine Inch Nails, but then Disney, in their infinite wisdom, was like, well, we had Daft Punk do the last one, so you have to that, and this is it's all a branding thing. Like if they would have called it
Yeah.
Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross, I'd actually appreciate it more. But the fact that it's got the Nine Inch Nails logo on there makes me kind of this is not what, and they're doing the same thing with Heretic.
Mm.
They're yeah, Nine Inch Nails is listed as the doing the music production for that game, and so probably in the same vein, I'll probably end up picking that up just for the sake of just whatever. But I now have my I guess my enthusiasm's really been tempered with this Tron release, because it's all right, but it's very just middle of the road.
Yeah. Well, I heard the Tron movie was terrible, so, and it
That
pisses me off. It pisses me off because I liked Tron Legacy and I liked even the original Tron.
Oh yeah,
It's not deep but fun. But yeah,
right.
like I knew they weren't going to get it right though. Like I knew it, and they had set it up for a success.
Mm-hmm.
Well, for a successful sequel back when Tron Legacy came out, they had all the pieces in place for something cool. And they, obviously Disney's going to Disney, so they just shit all
Yeah.
over it. From what I heard, I mean, maybe I'll look at it at some point in the future and then do a discussion on it.
Yeah. Well, I know Bruce Boxleitner, who actually played the role of Tron, is
Yes.
not pleased with it. So that's like all you really need to know.
Yeah, for sure. John Ford says Nine Inch Nails is on tour next year. Well, that's cool.
Yeah, they extended their Peel It Back tour. They did another leg, but again, like they've turned into, this is kind of, I used to listen to Metallica all the way back in the 80s and the 90s, and then somewhere along the way, they just kind of seemed to be more focused on their retirement and everything like that. And so, Nine Inch Nails, I've gone to damn near every tour for the last 15 years. And then they did this last, their first leg of the Peel It Back. And when I saw the amount for just the tickets, not me traveling to said destination, it's like, no, I'm good. So yeah, they've reached that phase. And I remember years ago, Trent Reznor saying something about, I don't want to be, in my 60s rocking around as Nine Inch Nails, which was part of the reason why he started moving over to doing score work and everything like that. But here he is approaching his 60s. And it's happening. He's been.
Well, you could just sort of like separate yourself from that history if you want to get into composing, and I'm
right.
sure that a lot of these guys can. You just have to like kind of like treat it like a new life, like a separate identity almost.
And that's what they were doing under the banner of Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross, was this whole thing of a separation. But now, the corpos are like, oh, but that Nine Inch Nails branding. It's like, you got 20 years of Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross doing amazing scores. That's just as valid, if not even more so, than the Nine Inch Nails brand. But Disney gonna Disney, right? So
yeah, I mean, like I would say I think Trent Reznor could have just done his own thing regardless, like Danny Elfman did. When he was with Oingo Boingo, that was like a different sound from like when he went. And of course, he has his own unique thing. Like his music sounds like his music. You know it when you hear it. And I think Trent Reznor, or Daft Punk for that matter, could also have done something like that. But anyway, we're getting off the rails there. But a little bit of a digression. So anyway, we're gonna get into it's okay. We're gonna get into the next story. Let us know what you guys think about this one in the comments. All right. So Electronic Arts, the powerhouse behind Madden NFL, EA Sports, FC, The Sims, etc., was acquired in a landmark $55 billion deal announced on September 29th, making the largest leveraged buyout in history. Led by the Saudi Arabia Public Investment Fund, which held a 9.9% stake and is chaired by Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. The consortium includes private equity firm Silver Lake Partners and Jared Kushner's affinity partners. Jared Kushner, by the way, Donald Trump's son-in-law, also owns EA. Literally, shareholders received $210 per share, a 25% premium, with the transaction financed by $36 billion in equity and $20 billion in debt, set to close in EA's fiscal first quarter 2027, pending regulatory approvals So this move aligns with Saudi's vision to 2030 push into entertainment and esports, building on PIF's investments and gaming giants like Nintendo and Take-Two, and ambitions for a Riyadh esports hub. EA stock jumped 15% on the news, buoyed by optimism over its strong pipeline, including $2 billion in projected new bookings by FY28. Despite recent layoffs and flops like Dragon Age The Veilguard. While supporters celebrate the influx of capital for innovation and global esports growth, criticism center on game washing. Saudi Arabia's strategy to launder its image amid human rights abuses, including the Khashoggi murder linked to MBS. On platforms like X, boycott EA is trending. Hashtag boycott EA is trending. With calls to ditch EA titles over ethical qualms, fearing content shifts away from progressive elements like LGBTQ plus representation in The Sims. So going forward, concerns loom large. Massive debt could trigger more layoffs, and AI-heavy cost-cutting, potentially stifling creativity at studios like BioWare. Geopolitical ties under Trump, bolstered by Kushner's Gulf funding, raise national security red flags, and boycotts may erode player bases, especially if live service monetization intensifies without bold risks. An analyst warned of a mid-tier future prioritizing safe hits like Madden over diverse storytelling, echoing LIV's Golf's divisive legacy. Though EA insists operations remain unchanged short term. So right now, not much is going to change. So they've gotten rid of the gay race communism and they've replaced it with Islam.
Mm-hmm. Right. It's like I was saying earlier in the week, we were talking about, it's like, well, it's one of those situations where it's like the enemy of my enemy is still my enemy. So it's
for sure.
And thankfully for me, I've long since given a shit about EA. I do think that this will be better overall in terms of the way that the company's structured in terms of possibly doing storytelling. But ultimately,
they got to make it profitable. And I think that this is the thing, like EA had too many people, just like Activision, just like all the others. They had too many people under their, that worked for their company that had no interest in making money for their company. Now, the sports games they always make money as long as they don't, all they got to do is copy paste the same shit. There's an audience built in. They're going to play the FIFAs. They're going to play the NBA, whatever. I don't even know what they're doing. The Maddens, like whatever it is, right? But when it comes to their other content, that I think that the gay shit's probably not going to be. Well, not for now, but they're gonna take that out of there. So I want to see a Sims where everyone's wearing burqas and
right. Quite a few developers at BioWare were just losing their shit this week about how they're gonna get rid of our gay progressive messaging and they're gonna put in a whole bunch of guns. It's like,
what's wrong with you? Are you what are you, Islamophobic? Right. You gotta what's wrong with you, you bigot?
Right. It's so hilarious.
Yeah. So okay. So what do you think is gonna? I mean, look, nothing's gonna change overnight. I think ultimately Saudi Arabia is entering the entertainment space. They're trying to contribute to culture or make that a big part of how they make money.
Mm-hmm.
And that starts with video games, but it's not only that. They recently had paid off a bunch of comedians to do some shows in Saudi Arabia. I don't know if you guys heard about that. Like Bill Burr is going, a bunch of woke comedians, that are trying to make money basically. Whitney Cummings, Bill Burr.
They're tied in heavily with the WWE.
Davidson, the guy from SNL. I believe that Shane Gillis and a couple of other guys were like, no, I'm not going there. I'm not going to do that. So
no, they have a tendency. And I, earlier in the week when I was talking about this, I misspoke because I when TKO bought out WWE, there's actually a shareholder lawsuit in progress right now because they were pissed off that Vince went with TKO so that he could hopefully retain some level of control within the structure. which ultimately I think he just got played by Ari.
Yeah.
But they were annoyed because the other high bidder in that whole thing was the Saudis. And WWE had been doing business with Saudi for, the last roughly decade or so. They were doing all those, special event shows over there specifically. And then this coming WrestleMania is the last WrestleMania in America, probably for the foreseeable future.
Oh.
Because the one after this in a year plus time. So the next WrestleMania will be, I believe, the end of April or early March. So in 2027, WrestleMania going forward, at least to my understanding, is going to be a Saudi thing because they got paid huge amounts of money. So yeah, this is kind of what Saudi does: is they buy a whole bunch of stuff at the spectacle level, and they call it various things like sports washing or greenwashing or
Mhm.
in this instance game washing. And yeah, the whole idea is if we can make a nice slick veneer of things that they're invested in at the surface level, then hopefully you won't go digging too far into how the actual structure of their country and their empire operates and everything like that. So it does make for an interesting situation, though. I do enjoy seeing all the woke developers freak the fuck out, though. But ultimately, it doesn't mean that I'm just going to start buying their games because, I gave up on EA long ass time
Oh
ago.
yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if I've gotten a game that's been affiliated with the EA or one of its subsidiaries in like a decade at this point. So,
Yeah, for sure. So I don't know, man. I think that it's a weird timeline we're living in, where the Saudi prince buys a video game video game publisher and all of the IPs that go with it. What IPs do you want to see done Arabic style? That's what I want to see them Islamized. What does EA own? Battlefield? Are we gonna see this from a different perspective in the future?
right,
Will it be
right.
Battlefield games where you play the Taliban or something? I don't.
Well,
I'm
if I remember correctly, because I know that Def Jam Vendetta games or Def Jam
Oh,
games used to be,
yes.
that when those were owned by EA, and then I believe through that association there was the 50 Cent game, Blood and Sand.
Blood and Sand. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So that would be interesting to see how they would revisit that now. So,
Give me all the Arab remakes of EA games. I think that'd be hilarious. Um Robert Johnson says Sims 4 now with Polygyny DLC. Yes. Multiple wives. That's
that's right.
exactly. Um Mr. 0303 says take the entire BioWare studio to the roof.
Pretty much.
And Robert Johnson says the prince posted on his Steam profile, I just bought EA. Thanks, Reddit. What is this timeline? It's hilarious.
Right.
I wonder what it's all computer looks like in Arabic. It's in the game. That's what it is. EA Sports, it's in the game in Arabic. Dante's Inferno, but you play as Muhammad. But he won't have a face. It'll be like a glitchy, or you'll never see it. Like for whatever reason, you can't depict Muhammad now.
That's right.
John Ford says make EA great again. I don't know. Maybe they will. I don't know. We'll see. I think it's gonna be fun. I think it's gonna be fun. I'm really got no dog in this race.
Right.
And
We
so
won't
it
see
doesn't.
the fruits from this for
Yeah.
at least the next 2 to 3 years. But yeah, well, I'm just kind
Yeah.
of it's a
Gonna be
thing
a
that
couple of
happens.
years. Yeah, it's gonna be a couple of years before we see anything. Okay. So let us know what you guys think about this one in the comments. All right, next up, so people are the normies are starting to notice that Netflix is grooming children,
You
and
don't.
they're not happy. I guess a bunch of people are canceling their Netflix subscriptions. But let's show a little bit of this off. Now, some of these are not new, but it's
Right.
good to look at it in context, okay? Because people are starting to discover this. So this is a show called Comelon. I don't know what that is.
Thing that we know about you, you love to get up and dance. How How about you break out those moves for your two biggest fans? If you're not sure what to choose, think about all the things you like to do. Just be you.
Just be me?
Yep. When you're trying to decide, think about all
This is worse than fucking Clockwork Orange, like when they have Alex strapped to the chair.
Me!
thing that
Way more Republic. Maybe Saudi Arabia should buy Netflix next.
right.
Turn that shit around real quick. All right, here's another clip. These are children's shows. Okay, so this is another show that is called. Well, I don't know what this one's called, but this is another show that depicts same-sex men getting married.
when you're trying to decide.
Oh, that's like a compilation. Never mind.
Yeah,
We'll just look at it. Actually, the guy here on the right in the purple, I think he's voiced by George Takei. Just like,
oh my.
Yeah, oh my, right, exactly.
When you're trying to decide, think about all
Hello,
the things
official
you
Master
like
X.
to do.
Welcome to the stream.
Just be you.
Just be me! My name is Charles. I stand up on pronouns. I'm the Ghost of Artifact Specialist.
Reporting from
I'm
the
my
wedding
pronouns.
of the year. Everyone's favorite karate instructor, Sensei Dave, will be marrying mixed martial arts champion Jiu-Jitsu Joe.
He's the undisputed champion
Ugh.
of my heart.
Yeah, see?
Jesus.
Oh, God, this is so bad.
Christmas Sensei Dave's big day. He taught me how to really smash stuff. Oh, now let's get ready to romance.
Wow, I can't wait for my mom to feast her eyes on this.
I'm trans, Norma. And everyone at school knows, and everyone at home knows. And being here, it's like a whole new place. I can just be Barney. And I
Fucking bean mouths, by the way. Fucking bean mouths. I hate it.
can choose if and when I tell people. I've never
Steven
been that-
Universe bullshit. Yeah.
It's the Cal Arts bean mouth art style. Yeah, it's the worst. It's the worst. Okay.
If and when I tell people. I've never been happier. And that's saying something when I spent today chased by terrifying zombie mascots.
You sound
Reminded me
happy.
How important it is to
Yeah.
live your life without apology. So I think I gotta give living here a shot. Don't you?
You don't need my permission. I just wouldn't want Courtney as a roommate.
As I said the other day, the one thing they got right is the clown nose.
The school totally customizes our rooms for us. It's so cozy. I'm Frankie. Pronouns they, them. I'm only 15 days old. Hi, Claudine. She, her. Nice to meet ya. My full name is
Oh my
Frankie
God.
Stein. I was just created by my parents, but not in the way that others are created by their parents, like werewolves. I was actually made in a lab using some of the...
Nightshade's pronouns are they, them.
He or she just doesn't fit who I am. My apologies. Please
Like this
switch
bullshit.
therapies.
This is an old one, but
Right?
Now, the plan.
girls kissing girls, in case you're not sure what that is.
Transberry.
Like cotton candy clouds floating in a
Strawberry
blue sky.
shortcake.
Banafi will slide
Allegedly.
that
Strawberry shortcake? Oh my God.
way.
And that is Transberry.
Banafi,
He's
tell us why you chose this
fabulous.
delicious dress.
As a transberry, I love living out loud as my most authentic self. And I wanted to dress as bold and unique as I am, which, let's face it, is a tall order.
All right.
Yeah.
A
A lot.
So
A lot to process.
it's yeah.
All
So
at once,
there's a
yeah.
viral boycott campaign against Netflix, largely fueled by this content. And it was amplified by Elon Musk, who urged followers to cancel Netflix for the health of your children. This sparked outrage, of course, from the people who learned about it because it featured transgender and LGBTQ plus themes. And I already mentioned some of the shows at Dead End, Paranormal Park, some of these older clips that got resurfaced, like Kamelon and the Transformers thing, which introduced interracial gay dads and a child in drag. The interracial part doesn't really matter. Nobody cares about that.
Yeah,
But
they even had one of the Transformers said that they were non-binary. It's like you operate on ones and zeros. You clearly
yeah,
are.
literally binary, right?
Right.
So this beyond the boycotter site operational gripes. So it wasn't just like the woke shit, although that's like the main thing. They're also just having like, you know, shows that they like on Netflix being prematurely canceled. The apps are like clunky to use. Fan favorites have been removed, and then the price has gone up to $20 a month. We'll see. I don't know. But basically, we're looking at subversive Marxist propaganda. I mean, that's what it's putting. And the thing is, I shared the lesbian kiss photo screenshot, this one right here, on my page, and I got people telling me, well, what does it matter? Like, this is how dumb people are. Okay, they think that it's okay. Like, I don't care that you're gay. I don't give a shit. Okay. What I care about is that you're exposing this shit to children and you're normalizing it. And I think we, and I said, serious question, should lesbian long kissing be allowed in children's content? And I'll ask you guys, am I being too conservative? Am I being too much of a pearl clutcher? Or is this a line? And if so, why? I think that young minds are impressionable. And,
That's the whole point.
This is, exactly.
Yeah, I was saying this earlier this week when we were talking about this on Will's show. I remember growing up in the 80s and the 90s, and Joe Camel ads got removed from magazines because kids are impressionable, right? Oh, you can't do that. That's going to be impressionable to young kids. Kids find cartoons like, you know, so you can't have a camel smoking because kids are going to be into that. And then now this is where we're at, you know, 20, 30 plus years later. And it's like, all right, so what about all that whole thing about like kids are impressionable and maybe let them, you know, be kids and not have to deal. The show, as I understand, is supposed to be about dinosaurs.
Which one? Oh, this one, the Jurassic Park. This is Jurassic something. Yeah. People are trying to use that as a defense. I saw they were like, well, it's got dinosaurs, so it's already not for kids. Kids love dinosaurs. Plus, this is very different. Like having scary things like monsters in a show, and I wouldn't necessarily if they're too scary for your kid, then maybe he shouldn't be watching it. But like having the element of monsters in a show doesn't automatically make it not for kids. But like having, and even, you know, like this is the way that this is how incrementalism works. Let me see what you guys are saying in the chat. I got some new people on the vertical, which is pretty cool. So let me just, before I get into this, because I'm going to talk about incrementalism for a second. All right. So Zarek says, was it Star Trek that started this? Yeah, right. We must go back in time and erase Star Trek. Let me see. Master Goa says, I'm a little, but did you guys see that people are just finding out that the Discord was hacked 2 weeks ago? They got your facial scans and personal info. Oof. I did not know that. I haven't used Discord for face chat in a long time though. Then Astral Fugitive says, nice. I didn't know Jeff Bridges had a podcast. I think he's talking about you, John. And
right. Yes. I'm the dude in the Matrix. Yes.
Yeah. Gary Thomas says, to be honest, I'm gay and I know I'm not normal. I don't understand the need to expose children to alternative lifestyles. Just let kids, you know, be kids. Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like, just because you're not seeing yourself in a children's cartoon doesn't mean that your humanity is being denied.
Right.
And that the official Master X says, hi, what's up? So I shared this, and this is the thing, okay? People are looking at things that happened in the past to justify things that are happening now. And that's how incrementalism works. So I'm not saying this is because of Star Trek, but if you remember, in Star Trek, you had the very first interracial kid, right? And I mean, it was probably controversial at the time. I think it was like Uhura and Kirk, and they kissed in a scene. but like it was probably controversial at the time, but like nobody thought a big deal out of it. But it became a kind of like way to do other things later, because I think in the old days, before that, I don't think you could see kissing on screen at all. Like,
Yeah,
you,
no.
I mean, like,
Ozzy and Harriet had separate beds back in the
yeah, a lot of the
Nelsons.
old shows like I Love Lucy, they you know they had separate beds. The Flintstones, and if there were kisses, they were like on the cheek or something like that, right? And it was like we knew that they were intimate, but we didn't have to see it. It wasn't necessary.
And there was even innuendo, about plenty of things, but it was done in such a way that it wasn't, right up in your face, and you have to accept this, and if you don't, you're, completely fascistic and all this kind of stupid bullshit that we deal with now. People were able to actually live and let live a lot easier back then, because most people, for the most part, they just wanted their privacy, right? And and that's kind of the main issue that we deal with today. It's like, dude, you whatever you want to fucking do in your own private life, you're of age, and it's not affecting me in any way, shape, or form. I'm not going to stand in your way to you want the right to self-destruction, please, by all fucking means. I don't care. But let kids be kids. The world comes at you fast,
Like, so at least Star Trek was sort of like for families, right? It wasn't necessarily, it wasn't a children's show, but it wasn't something children couldn't watch.
Right.
But I mean, like the kind of like, I guess you could say that the content in terms of the stories and like the things that were discussed could have been seen as more mature, probably for like young adults. But yeah, I mean, but then you get, okay, so then if you remember in the Brady Bunch, that was the very first show where the parents were Mr. and Mrs. Brady actually slept in the same bed.
Right.
But they would lay side by side. But they were in a bed that was the first show that did that. And then you go and it moves forward. I remember Will and Grace was like, well, before that, there was like a show where there was a gay character on the show. I think they did it in Melrose Place, and they had like a gay kiss that they didn't show. And this was in the 90s, or it was like the 90s or the late 80s.
Yeah.
And then you just take and that even then that was like a prime time show for adults, right? So adults could handle that kind of content. And in Disney movies, you had like the kiss of true love that would like wake up Sleeping Beauty or Snow White. And what they do is they use that as they say this is with the precedent, right? They go back to that precedent and say, well, we did this, so why can't we do this? And they'll keep doing that every time they set a new precedent. They say, well, why can't we do this thing? And now they're saying, why can't we do this thing with kids for kids?
Right.
Like, before long, they're gonna have actual kids doing this stuff.
Yeah,
because you allowed the shit before.
Right? I call it the balloon principle, right? Like once you blow into a balloon, it's never going back to its original shape. Once it's been expanded. And so the idea that they kind of go with is, oh well, that's acceptable. Let's pump a little bit more air into that, a little bit more. But at a certain point in time, the balloon will pop, because it's not designed for that much blowhard fucking pressure being put into it. And that's where we're at this point in time. It is, it's exploded and it's just everywhere. And so, that's kind of what a lot of this really comes down to. Ultimately, the big takeaway from this is, if you are a parent, make sure that you're a parent and you're not just allowing your kids to, oh, well, this is supposed to be kids programming. Kids programming is run by people like Dan Schrader for the Nickelodeon, right? And we all know like him and his whole past with all the shit that he did. So it is ultimately one of those things like this stuff, unfortunately, has progressed to this level. But if you actually take the time to try to keep up to date with what's going on. I haven't subscribed to Netflix in a long ass time either, even before all the cuties stuff. Because I just,
me neither.
I get when I hit my limit on certain things, I don't care if it's the trendy thing or what the hell ever. I'll go pay for a VPN service, and if I really want something, I'll get it. You know, but I'm not going to pay these services to go out of their way to undermine my sensibilities and, you know, just the fabric of reality, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. But yeah, so this is like what I mean. Like this is the way that they slip it in. Astral Fugitive says they never showed a toilet in the Brady bathrooms ever. Yeah, but we knew that they went to the bathroom, but we didn't need to see it. We didn't need to know. And then later, there was a few years later, the show All in the Family came out. You know what they did on that show? They wouldn't show you the bathroom, but they would let you hear the flush.
Right.
And that was a comedic thing. You would hear the flush, and then the, you know, the what was his name, the father, the patriarch of the show, would come down the stairs because he had just gone to the bathroom. And so it's like little ways that they do this, right? And like I'm not saying it was never okay, but I'm saying, like, if you're wondering how we got here, that's how we got here, right? And somebody said in here they made that exact same thing. This guy named Blubber Bones said, I mean, if straight kissing is allowed, I don't see why gay or lesbian kisses should be any different unless you're just a bigot. If you really care about the sexualization of children, remove all public displays of affection. But how many Disney, he was trying to respond in a thread, but it came out as separate posts.
Right.
But how many Disney Barbie movies where princess kisses her prince during the happy ending and it never outraged parents? No reason that can't be two princesses or two princes kissing. Kids know they are safe and accepted and normal regardless who they love. Seems like a healthy lesson. It's also a good idea to have diverse representation of different family structures because they do exist IRL. How do you think kids of the same-sex couples feel when the type of family they have is never depicted? Imagine the joy they see in seeing a family with two moms or two dads. Something that represents their lived experience. Everybody deserves good representation. Now, this guy's obviously brainwashed by this system because he thinks that they're, well, I'm assuming it's a dude. I don't really know. They presume,
regardless.
Yeah, they presume that if kids don't see their same-sex parents making out on like a fictional cartoon, that they're going to be traumatized. But the acknowledgement that it's abnormal, and what is look, what is the purpose of, ultimately, what is the purpose of affection? Does it have a purpose outside of just like what makes you happy in the moment? Or is there like a long-term goal? Like when you have a story where the man and the woman come together at the end and they kiss and they live happily ever after, what does that suggest? Does that suggest that they just kiss for the rest of their life? Or do they actually go on to like do something else? Do they get married and then they have kids? And like, is because like these lesbian relationships don't end with children or families. They're just like in the moment joy things, right? I'm okay with taking like long kissing out of kids content altogether as well. I'm okay with it. I don't think it's a problem, but especially if it's going to be used to set this kind of precedent. And I'm sorry, but this is going to confuse children if it isn't already confusing children. And then and it's not just people making out, like, you know, two women or two men. It's also like, people identifying as non-binary and giving their pronouns out when they introduce each other. They're trying to normalize a certain kind of behavior, and they're doing it through the most vulnerable people, which is our children. So when the kids grow up, they're going to grow up with that mindset, and they're going to try to, like, you know, tell you what their pronouns are, and they're going to try to identify as non-binary or something. So even if they're not being normalized by this, I mean, we should be having at least a conversation around it, right? Representation is a non-existent mental need. Yes, it isn't, unless you're a narcissist, which these people are. This is narcissism. When you say I have to see myself everywhere, guess what that is? Dean Domino says they end with a U-Haul. Yeah, like they move somewhere. Yeah. They constantly say they need representation, but has it ever been proven that there is a psychological need for it? No, there isn't. It's narcissism. Like, there are things that you desire, but you don't need them, but you think you need them. And that's one of them. Representation, it's like basically you need people to give you congratulations for existing. And that's what it's been like for ever since I started doing Gamergate stuff. Like every time it's like, we need more female representation, we need more black representation, whatever. That's just insecure narcissism. That's all it is. So, and no, you don't need that. In fact, you need the opposite of that. You need to be told that, hey, you're not special. you're not that important, okay? Like, not to the world. Maybe you should go make something yourself, and then, you know, we can like revisit that, and I can look at what you have done, and then I can give you credit for that, not just for being. A lot of people look like you that exist in the world.
Right.
So,
yeah, and these are also the same people that, you know, when somebody does actually have strong family values, things like that, says when we stop talking, that's when the violence begins and all this kind of stuff. And he goes
Sure.
and he gets executed live in high definition, filming. They celebrate it. So, you know, it's like there's an inconsistency. You know, they sit here and they talk about how certain things are important, but then the value of life to them is debatable based on all this kind of stuff. So, you know, it's a very interesting kind of reality that you know, the clown show that we live in these days is really quite something else. You know, so ultimately, I think you know, the most important thing anyone can do is understand that how you feel about yourself is how you feel about yourself, and other people don't necessarily have to reflect that. And whether they laud you with praise or you know, come at you with all kinds of bullshit, if you know who you are, then you know who you are, and it doesn't really matter about having affirmations or any kind of this other stupid bullshit, you know.
Yeah. And it's not just the gender shit that they're doing. And again, this is on the kids. I think, like, I don't remember because I haven't had Netflix in many years, but I think the children's section is sort of separate. So the adults might just, like, you know, log into the children's section and then hand the remote off to the kids, and they can just find something to watch. So the adults aren't seeing it. But it's not just that, although that's probably the most egregious. It's also that they Netflix openly boasts about discriminating against white people. In their inclusion and diversity report, they celebrated that the percentage of racially underrepresented directors and lead characters has been growing significantly over the past few years. And Netflix does hires on basis of skin color. So I'm going to share this real quick. Here's a graph: percentage of underrepresented personnel above the line series by year. And of course, they're the only ones focused on this kind of shit, okay?
Right.
In 2023, the 63 series creators of Netflix series programs were white, 73 were white, percent that is, and 27% were from an underrepresented racial ethnic group. Of all creators in 2023, 9.5% were Black, 4.8% were Hispanic or Latino, 4% Asian, or 6% Asian, and 1% Middle Eastern.
Right.
And then, but that has changed over time. In addition, the percentage of underrepresented main cast series regular characters was investigated. So they have basically been intentionally changing the numbers. They want to create a majority minority, essentially, right?
Right. They focus on quantity metrics rather than quality metrics.
Oh, of course. Yeah, of course. That's why there's so much garbage on Netflix, by the way, because a lot of people are underqualified.
Right.
But they're the right gender, sexual orientation, race,
Ethically beige,
whatever. Yeah, they're the right of those other things, even if they don't have any talent.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you look at this, let me see here. In addition to leads, co-leads, a percentage of underrepresented main cast / series regular characters was investigated. From 46%. So they've been bumping the numbers up, basically. So you look here, percentage in 2018, 22%, and then over here in 2023, it's over half of industry-wide with an underrepresented lead or co-lead. So they basically like highly bumped the numbers up. They've done the same thing here as well. So this is the agenda, and it is, I guess, in the name of equity or something, but not really.
Right.
That's just what they'll say. But
as I have said many times, equity is vengeance. You know, equality is fairness, and they don't want fairness. They want revenge. You know.
Oh, and also, not for nothing, and not that it matters much, but 100% of, and I mean 100%, no exaggeration, of the Netflix staff donates to the Democratic Party. So just saying, probably not because they're necessarily like interested in Democratic policy, but because the Democrats support their leftist goals, their revolutionary ideals. So, all right. Anyway, so let me look at what you guys are saying, and then we're going to move on to the next thing. Once again, what do you guys think? Am I crazy, or is lesbian long kissing not appropriate for children? Just I could be crazy. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm a bigot. Okay. So I got a rumble rant rather from Xeranx, who gives us $5 and says, I need a 1967 Mustang convertible or a 1968 Ford Falcon. It should be recognized as my human right. You dare not deny me. I'll take one of those.
Right. That reminds me of an X post I saw earlier in the week about someone talking about universal health care. And then someone brought up the Second Amendment, and they're like, well, the government doesn't need to pay for your guns. You're like, oh, is that how that works?
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so Robert Johnson says it's the Chesterton's fence argument. The fence was there for a reason, long forgotten. I'll look at that. Astral Fugitive says, I've been on the fence about getting Netflix back, but this firmly pushed me over on the not side of the fence.
Yeah.
Did you know about this stuff before? Because this is actually not new. We've been talking about this for years, actually.
Yeah.
What's been going on with Netflix?
Yeah. If I could make an alternate suggestion. I use, and of course, we're not affiliated with them in any way, shape, or form, but I use NordVPN. There's plenty of other VPN services, but find one of those that works well. Just take trips to Switzerland, and there's other ways to go about, finding things. And if you really want to, make good and support something, there's plenty of merchandising opportunities. You can buy a T-shirt, but
yeah,
you just want to watch something, just watch it. It's everything. All this shit's ubiquitous. That's where I kind of landed, where it's like, because again, as I mentioned with the 9 Inch Nails thing, I bought the vinyl, and they used to come with digital files, right? High resolution digital files, and because it is of kind of substandard quality, I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna wait a few months. I'll wait until someone posts the high quality FLAC form, and I'll just get it then, and I'll get it for free. And until then, I'll just listen to an MP3 version that I have, and I still have the record. So technically, I'm not actually stealing anything. I just want a higher bitrate version of the thing that I already have. So,
Yeah.
but it doesn't mean that So I already supported the album to a degree, but because it doesn't have the thing there that I also am like, oh well, I'm paying more, and why am I getting less? I'm not going to go and just be like, oh, here's another $20. Say, for one thing, I don't have the budget for that. Like, there's things that are far more important than ubiquitous entertainment, and all this stuff is so just of the moment. That's where I'm just like, why would I pay for all these different streaming services when I could just get a VPN and just cherry pick the things that
I'm sure you guys can find a way. I found a way.
Indeed.
Okay, so I mean, if there's anything to watch, even
right.
So let's see. Gabriel Phelan Lucas says Aiden covered it in a vid. He also did so with Brian on this channel last year. Yes, if you look back at our history, I did a sit down with Aiden Paladin, who I've known for a number of years now, and we had a chat about this kind of thing. And she works. She's very into working with social science data, but real data, and she's trying to make social sciences, let's say, legitimate. And I wish her luck. I think there is something to study, but I think that it's been mostly co-opted by ideologues. But yeah, we did talk about it on our show, and of course the answer is no. All right, and let me see. Masagoa says, how have I survived with the lack of Filipinos in gaming? I don't know. Are you Filipino? You know what? I too wonder, why aren't there more Puerto Ricans in video games? And yet I continue to live. I don't. Yes, it's a
right.
It's a miracle. Great Endor says, again, they constantly say certain people are underrepresented, but what is the correct representation? When is it on par, so to say? What are the politically correct numbers? They never say. Well, that's because the thing is never about the thing. It's always about the revolution. It's always about taking away from people. They have no plan. They want to burn it all down. They've even said so explicitly multiple times. And all we have to do is say, fine, and go get our shit somewhere else. That's literally it. We just have to point, I'm just going to show you guys what they're doing. And then all you have to do is not support these people. Just don't give money to people who hate you and you'll be set. So, okay. And Gabriel again says, you remember the Overwatch official woke characteristic chart leak that they used to numerically tally how diverse each character was? Yes, I remember. That was that's when I quit Overwatch. I'm pretty sure. And I was having fun, but that did it for me. Master Goa says, Filipinos are the truly underrepresented, but I thank God for that. I don't need them embarrassing my people. POCs should be embarrassed by the representation they get. They should be, but they're not, because they're also shamelessly insecure.
Right.
All right. So anyway, let's move on to the next one. This is speaking of, let me know what you guys think. In a related story, Amazon is also killing themselves. So they have digitally removed the guns from all the key art for all the James Bond movies on their platform. So they are literally just not armed. And they basically digitally remove. So look at this Sean Connery. He's supposed to have his Walter P38 in his hand there. Same thing with the GoldenEye. He's supposed to have his gun there. Right. They removed it. Now he's got for the Daniel Craig here. He apparently has a shoulder strap, but there doesn't appear to be anything in it.
Yep.
It's like they disarmed James Bond. What's left are just awkward looking pictures.
Yeah, this one's even more mind-boggling to me because the 007 logo itself
has a gun in it.
It's a gun.
I mean, this is terrible. This is terrible. Let's open this in a new tab and take a look. So yeah, they did all the movies, and this could be really cool imagery if they didn't alter it. So the man with the golden redacted,
right.
But there it is, the man with the golden gun. It literally says it, but it's just like a dude in a suit now. Like it literally is just a dude in a suit.
It's Mad Men.
He's got his hands in his pocket. Like what's going on there?
Right. Like they're all just gonna be this. They're all John Hamm, and they're all.
This is
just
awful.
Yeah.
I can't. I mean, what? They will trans James Bond next. Oh my God. Live and let redacted. So those of you guys here, let me show you all the this is the thing up close. You guys can see a little bit better. All of the movies, and there's a lot. This is a very well established franchise, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 films.
The Man with the Golden Gun might be their worst title there because not only is it, it's proclaiming guns, but it's even a man, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, a man and a gun and a gun logo. Oh my God. We got to do something about that. Yeah, so just like, I don't know. I don't have words. This is offensive to me. Like legit. I love James Bond. This is just offensive to me. The Great Endora says license to stand awkwardly. Yeah, they're all awkward. Look at this. View to a Kill. This Roger Moore. They gave him like extra long arms because so he's got like these rubber arms going off the screen. This is terrible.
Man.
Octopussy?
Yeah, Octopussy is going to be octo period having people,
Yes. So bad. Yeah. So this is, I don't know, this isn't in another country. This is this is just Amazon.
Right. They own the rights to it now. To kind of, it's adjacent in the sense that we already mentioned Netflix and we are talking about spy agents, but Netflix's new take on Splinter Cell. They've got their ethically beige stand-in, and Sam Fisher's now like a 60-year-old man with white hair, and he's going to get shunted off into the corner, and just it never ends. Never ends.
Yeah. So we got some, since we're going to be changing James Bond, we got some new titles we're going to be looking at. So instead of Dr. No, his name is going to be Dr. Consent.
Right.
But instead of From Russia with Love, we're going to call it From Russia with Mutual Respect.
Right. All right. Maybe we should change that to Ukraine, though, because, I mean, Russia is pretty, you know.
Oh, yeah. From Ukraine with a lot of love and endless money. Infinity money support.
From Ukraine with Biden's.
Yeah. Goldfinger is now going to be referred to as Sustainable Energy Enthusiast. Thunderball is going to be changed to Inclusive Workplace Gathering. You only live twice is you only self-actualize once. On Her Majesty's Secret Service is on Their Majesty's Public Service, because of course it is.
Mm-hmm.
You know that these people are into that. Diamonds Are Forever. Wait. I don't have that one here. I didn't put that one.
I think I'd come up with one. Blood money is the detriment to children.
Yes, right. Live and Let Die, Live and Let Thrive. The Man with the Golden Gun, the person with the ethically sourced tool. The Spy Who Loved Me, The Spy Who Respected My Boundaries, Moonraker, Space Exploration Partner, Octopussy, Octoperson, obviously. We can't say that. A View to a Kill, A View to a Constructive Dialogue.
Yep. Oh, you skipped over For Your Eyes Only, if you have that one.
Oh, For Your Eyes Only. I don't know. How would you change that one? Go.
For Your Eyes Only.
Octobirthing person. Yeah.
Right. I suppose it would have to do something with public.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd have to be something about how we're not supposed to have privacy rights anymore or anything like that.
Yeah.
So,
For our eyes only. For our eyes always.
Right.
There is no such thing as privacy because that's property and you can't have
public
that.
information, yes. For public discourse.
Let's see. Golden Eye, as in affirming yourself.
Right.
Golden Eye. Tomorrow Never Dies. Tomorrow Always Listens. The world is not enough. The world is more than enough. Die Another Day, Heal Another Day, Casino Royale, Casino Fair Trade Collective, Quantum of Solace, Quantum of Solidarity, Skyfall, Climate Fall Awareness Initiative, Spectre, Structural Inequality, and No Time to Die, Plenty of Time for Self-Care. So those will be the new James Bond titles. And then, they'll probably use AI to recast everyone over Live and Let DEI. Yeah, there you go.
Right. Quantum of Solace could also be a moment for collectivism.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. So they're continuing to bastardize our stuff, and that's just a new thing on the list. All right. So let's keep talking about movies. Because I have some other stuff to talk about. Indeed. So let us know what you guys think about this in the comments. Let me just double check. I know we're doing well on time. So
yep.
Master Goa says, I'm not a Bond fan, but I heard they killed him in the last movie, so a woman could take his code/number. Yes, I didn't watch it. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what I heard too. It's all about passing the torch. And he was sort of like a landmark success for these people too, because he was everything that men liked about masculine heroes, even more than the more aspirational ones like Superman and stuff. James Bond was like a big deal.
Yeah.
Great Endurance says the strange thing about this is that 007 is supposed to be a government agent, so even government agents aren't allowed to have guns. Don't think too much about it. Robert Johnson says, For Your Eyes Only fans. That's good. For Your Eyes Only, we respect your privacy. Okay. All right. Anyway, let us know what you guys think about this one in the comments. All right, so James Gunn has come under fire. Let's see here. You already know that he let it in hot water in early of October over his handling of Backlash to a provocative plot twist in Peacemaker season 2, episode 6. I don't watch this show, so all I know is what I heard online. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The episode unveils that the alternate Earth glimpse throughout the season, featuring a fascist American flag and authoritarian vibes, is Earth X, a Nazi-dominated reality where Germany won World War II, tying into the protagonist's backstory with shocking imagery of swastikas and supremacist aesthetics. Wow, never heard of that. That's like a completely unique idea. Well, let's make a world where the Nazis won the war and they now rule everything. Whoa, that's fucking groundbreaking, guys.
Yeah,
never seen that before.
I've never watched Dark Skies or The Man in the High Tower.
Yeah. I know that Earth X existed in the comics, but again, I don't know that that's necessarily makes it a good idea to interpret in the show. But anyway, so there was a GQ interview, and Gunn dismissed criticism of this by attributing it to, quote, a few racists, end quote, who labeled his work polarizing, framing their outrage as rooted in discomfort with anti-fascist messaging rather than legitimate artistic gripes. He quipped, "I'm okay with letting racists fall by the wayside," positioning himself as a defender against bigotry while admitting the episode's clues were subtle enough to evade casual viewers. Oh yeah, subtle, I'm sure.
So subtle.
Yeah. Let's look at a clip of the subtlety at play here, okay? So this one comes from Nerdrotic, and he shared the clip. And shout out to Gary, and let's take a look.
If he's so awesome, why?
So this is a clip in Earth X with this black woman and some dude in a really cheap looking costume.
If he's so awesome, why'd he move to Nazi world?
I didn't say he was smart. I'm sure he didn't even notice. Sad part is, I'm not so sure this Nazi world is as different from our own world as we wish it was.
Damn straight.
Yeah.
So there's literally a world where the Nazis rule everything, and this black woman, of course, says, "I'm not sure that this is actually any different from the world we live in now." And James Gunn's like, "Yeah, they might miss the subtle commentary that he's saying there. What do you think it means?"
I can
anyway,
only imagine. Jeez. Yeah, it's so ambiguous.
This is after, like, wasn't there like an orgy scene? Is this an NS? No, this is a clip from a show,
right,
called Peacemaker. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, Despite the secondary firestorm, conservative outlets like Outkick accused Gunn of playing the victim hero card and smearing detractors as bigots to deflect from tone-deaf storytelling, just bad storytelling, to be honest. While sites like That Park Place called it lazy Hollywood tactic to blame fans for flops. Supporters, including Bleeding Cool and Variety, lauded Gunn's unapologetic stance as emblematic of his boundary-pushing style, echoing his 2018 Disney firing over old tweets, which he overcame through accountability. So he's basically going to be, and he's still on board to finish Peacemaker and work on Man of Tomorrow, which I guess comes out in 2027. Sorry, I almost said 2077 for some reason. So yeah, basically about as subtle as a sledgehammer to the face.
Right.
And yeah, he's like, when he did the Guardians movies for Marvel, I like those movies. I still do. I stand by that they're solid. But I think that they must have had like the reins on him somehow, or he didn't catch TDS like he does now. Because man, that shit breaks people's brains, man.
Right.
Like you just get Nazism on the brain and you just can't shake it. So anyway.
Yeah. I watched the first two. I have not watched the third one because by that point in time, James Gunn, the accountability they referred to was basically they just looked at his movie grosses and they were like, okay, it's been 6 months, we can rehire him. So yeah, that was the accountability that he achieved. But then he bent the knee and just became a full-on mouthpiece for the agenda, and that's how. Yeah.
He also claimed that, or at least in the show, I guess he makes the claim that the Nazis are like Christians. They're essentially they're Jesus lovers, and I'm going to show you that one too. Here we go. He equates the Nazis of an alternate dimension with the Christian conservatives of our world.
World War II here. Huh? I've been reading all the history books on the bookshelf. You don't want to be a minority here. Or gay, or Buddhist, or anything I am, really. And also, Cheetos with an H on the end aren't nearly as good.
Jesus Christ.
Him, they love.
Sad part is, I'm not so sure this Nazi world is as different from our own world as we wish it was.
So yeah,
yeah.
Look, Nazis were not Christians. They were pagans. Okay? Let's stop that. Really. Like, there are white nationalists online right now, and I think that they're a loud but small voice, so I'm not really concerned with them. And a lot of them that do like a lot of like LARPing as Nazis online because it pisses people off or like upsets them, so they just do it. And I mean, like, you know, if it works, then I can see why you would keep doing it. It's like people shouting the N-word to see how people react, okay?
Why can't we have Klansmen kissing in children's cartoons? You know,
Yeah,
they deserve a voice, right?
Yeah. It's Gabriel says National Socialism was founded on a plagiarized pseudo-Nordic Aryan blood myth. None of this is hard to research. Yeah, but they're just going to try to make the connection. And and you know, I'm not one to like get really bent out of shape because I know it's a popular thing to do, but it just shows you just kind of like how low IQ this whole thing is. Where it's like my boomer uncle would say this shit about like the current administration, that they're a bunch of, you know, out and out fascist Nazi Christians. These things are not compatible. Like I said, the Nazis were pay gays, and the Wignats online, they think that they can solve their problem by just making everything basically the opposite of like BLM. And I just don't think that's going to work, especially because if they can't get their women in line, they're not going to win anything. If you can't do something about your women, guys, especially you white guys, because guess what? White women, they're not down with that. So you're fucked unless you can do something about the woman question. But that aside, though, you know, it's just kind of cringe. And I wasn't watching the show anyway. I figured that the orgy scene should have been enough for people. So, but I guess they had to wait until this, and even then, I'm pretty sure people will watch it. Great Endor says the alt-right showed themselves to be socialists when the masks come off. Yeah, well, they are socialists. That's exact. They criticize the same shit the left does, capitalism, and like you know, they want more government power, and then we call them the right when they're obviously just the left with a different set of priorities, but they're just leftists. So it's the same shit. Master Goa says the black woman isn't wrong. We imported the Nazis. NATO literally had a Nazi running it. Adolf Hosinger, literally one of Hitler's top guys. Half of the current EU leadership have Nazi lineage. Yeah, but I'm pretty sure that black woman is not referring to those things. She's just referring to Trump and like, you know, Republicans and Christians. Not like you actually are bringing up historical shit. I know that NASA, by the way, you know, we know that there were Nazis that were part of the founding of NASA, right? Like Operation Paperclip and all that. But that's not what she's not. That's not why she's what she thinks the methodology is to arrive at that conclusion. You know what I mean? It's like there are people who look at Israel Palestine and they have criticisms of Israel. And there are two different factions that have the same criticism, but that doesn't make them both correct for how they got there. There are people like Dave Smith and that have and Tucker Carlson that have legitimate criticisms of Israel, specifically the state of Israel, and the way they're carrying out their ethnic cleansing of Gaza that has everything to do with like a moral or ethical principle at the center, and then you got the pink-haired losers on college campuses that hate Israel just because it's associated in any way with the United States, and they hate the United States, therefore they hate everything the United States allies itself with. These things are not the same, because one of them, there's a solution that doesn't involve destroying our country, which is essentially to stop supporting these foreign wars, and then there's another one that wants to burn everything down. It's kind of like when the Me Too movement was going on, you had Rose McGowan, the actress, and you had her former friend from that show with the witches, whatever, Charmed, Alyssa Milano, and they both were pro Me Too, but they had different interests. Alyssa Milano's interest was that she wanted to, like, you know, essentially make money off of it with her Time's Up thing, which was basically like not organic at all, and she was looking to make a buck on it, but she was also looking to like see a lot of convictions done without any due process. Rose McGowan just wanted to burn everything down. She wanted the whole thing to just collapse in a giant fire. They had the same viewpoint on what should change, but their ideas on how to go about it were different. So I think that's the same thing here. So yeah, that black woman might have a point if you know what you know, but I don't think that black woman knows. And I'm not just talking about the character, I mean the woman herself.
Right.
James Gunn doesn't know. I think a lot of people don't know because they're operating on a very surface level, overly simplistic version of reality. And it has nothing to do with history.
Right.
Anyway, so that's all I wanted to say about that. Let's see. Do you guys have anything else you want to say? Otherwise, we're going to move on to the next story.
Just basically be reiterating your points because, you know, I have no problem. You know, I have Jewish friends. I have Iranian friends. You know, I have no problem with individuals, but there's a very big difference between a Jewish person and the state of Israel. Those are completely.
And I think it's important to, I think it's important to make that distinction.
Right.
In fact, I think that most Jews don't even live, they live outside of Israel. Like a majority doesn't live in Israel, the country. Anyway, and there's a lot of sub-factions too. I've talked about that on the show. There's a difference between, like, there are secular Jews and there are Reformed Jews, like Sam Cedar from the Majority Report, that are, and a lot of the guys in Hollywood, like Seth Rogen and stuff like that. Then you have religious Jews that are like, there's different kinds. There's Orthodox Jews, and there's Messianic Jews, and there's Rabbinic Jews. Messianic Jews are cool because they believe in the Messiah, that Christ is the Messiah. So there's no issue there. Some of the Orthodox ones could be a problem because they believe that Jesus is a false Messiah, which is sort of like in the same way that Islam could be a problem because their fundamental belief system contradicts the belief systems of Christians, which puts them at odds with Christian countries. Even if you are not Christian, you live in a Christian country, you have to understand that you know, there are Muslims who will be a problem for you. If you looked at what's been going on in Minnesota lately, for example, once there was a city in Minnesota that became majority Muslim, and they're essentially changing the city. They have, like, you know, speakers blaring out like the prayer on loudspeakers at all you know, hours of the day. And if people complain, they just say, well, you know what, you can leave. And that's going to be a problem. Like, we're going to have to deal with that at some point as that number grows. And I think the same is true of Jews who don't believe in the Messiah, because they're going to want to change that when they're able to. And I just think it's a reality we got to face up to, right? So anyway, so yeah, if there's nothing else, we're going to move on to the next story. And thank you guys for your patience and hanging out with me while I go through these dense topics. So, all right. So next up, we got this movie, and I think the picture kind of says it all. The picture kind of says it all. So this film is called One Battle After Another by Paul Thomas Anderson. You know Paul Thomas Anderson? Do you know who that is? He's a director. You've seen any of his movies?
God, it's probably been a good long while, but
I can give you some examples.
Yeah.
So he directed Boogie Nights.
You
ever seen Boogie Nights? I've never seen that movie.
Yeah.
Did you like it?
Heather Graham's hot in it. It's about It's about the porn
The
industry.
porn industry, yeah.
So it's what you'd expect it to be. A whole bunch of people that are chasing after sparkles in their eyes, and
I thought there was like a lot of like it was also about drugs or something.
oh yeah. I mean, that's a big chunk of it. Yeah. So huge. Yeah.
So I never seen Boogie Nights because I wasn't that interested. But yeah, he directed Boogie Nights. He directed There Will Be Blood, which is Daniel Day-Lewis as the oil man. Everybody, knows
I
the
drink
quotes.
your milkshake.
Yeah. I drink your milkshake. And he directed Magnolia, which I did see There Will Be Blood and Magnolia. I have seen those movies. Punch Drunk Love. I think that was like, isn't that the one with Adam Sandler?
Yep.
So yeah, you've seen a few of these. So he directed this film called One Battle After Another. It is a politically charged action comedy drama, so a movie, I guess.
Right.
Starring Leonardo DiCaprio, and I've seen the trailers of this, and I didn't know what it was about. I didn't even know that this guy had done this movie. So, Leonardo DiCaprio, as a washed-up revolutionary and doting dad named Bob Ferguson, has garnered widespread critical acclaim since its September 2025 release. So it's got the critics love it. Reviewers call it a masterpiece, as you can see, and a Best Picture frontrunner. So it's basically like screwy, visceral, action-packed. But here's the thing about the movie. Do you guys know what the plot is? What's okay, hold on.
Yeah, I know very little about this myself, so this will be kind of educational for me.
Yes.
To learn a little bit more. Yeah.
All right. So One Battle After Another takes place in a near future America gripped by, guess what, authoritarian decay, where surveillance drones patrol suburbs and right-wing militias enforce purity laws. DiCaprio's character, Bob Ferguson, a once fiery 70s radical, now reduced to a pot-addled, conspiracy-riddled dad, scraping by as a weed dealer in a crumbling Los Angeles, who's haunted by his revolutionary past and the dissolution of his commune. Bob clings to fleeting joys, stoner philosophizing with his precocious teenage daughter, Zinnia, and awkward attempts at reconnection with his ex, Perfidia, a no-nonsense community organizer running an underground aid network. Okay. So the inciting incident is when Zinnia, radicalized by school lockdowns and online manifestos, drags Bob into a botched protest against ICE raids. Yes, ICE raids, exposing him to the brutal realities of the regime's enforcer, the enigmatic Lockjaw, played by Sean Penn. Sean Penn is a piece of garbage, by the way. But anyway, a silver-tongued propagandist with a personal grudge tied to Bob's old crew. As father and daughter flee a chaotic riot, punctuated by Anderson's kinetic screwball chases, Bob's bumbling heroism reignites, forcing him to dust off dormant skills from his guerrilla days amid hallucinatory flashbacks to a freer, wilder youth. So basically, it is an Antifa movie.
Mm-hmm.
It is an Antifa movie, okay, that takes a guy from the 70s who used to be a revolutionary from the 70s, and he's sort of a burnout now, and he like basically goes back to the job, right? One last job.
Right.
Remember when we did a show, I think it might have been the last show we did, or the one before that, where I talked about the Weather Underground.
Mm-hmm.
You guys remember that? The Weather Underground? They were a revolutionary, radical feminist organization, leftists generally, like they were communists, basically. Because like the thing is, in the 70s, if you call yourself a civil rights activist, you don't have to say communist, because if you said communist, that was unpopular, right? Like we were very aware of communists at that time. So you had to like dress up your language so that people wouldn't see. It was like the saying goes, a rose by any other name. So communists always rebrand themselves. They call themselves feminists. They call themselves racial activists. They call themselves climate activists. They call themselves gay activists, trans activists, right? Workers, union activists. It's all rebranding communism because they know communism isn't popular. And I'm not being hyperbolic.
Right.
So they have a saying in communist spaces, a rose by any other name would smell as sweet. You know who said that? Well, I mean, obviously Shakespeare did, but you know who quoted it in context of communism, though? Martin Luther King Jr. was also like basically worked very closely with communists and Marxists. And nobody wants to acknowledge that because they all like the idea of him being the whole, like, you know, color of the skin versus content of character thing. But don't get it twisted. MLK was a communist and he was a communist sympathizer for sure. And the fact is that he was able to use civil rights as his lever to embed himself as a historical figure that we always look back on as kind of like this mythological figure of history that was so meaningful because of what he said. And the problem with this is we can accept people at their face without having to like refer to MLK. But the truth is that he was a Marxist, and that was just his approach was softer. So it worked better because people were like, well, I don't hate black people. I'm going to go along with this thing. And so you end up with that. And the same thing goes for any other Marxist group. So the Weather Underground were feminists, but they were communists.
Right.
And so like they were, and that's what feminism is. It's communism in panties. It's just like, you know, black activism is basically just like, you know, communism in kente cloth. It's the same thing. And it all comes down to resentment and grievance that needs to be addressed via the state and redistribution in some way. And there's just multiple roads to get there. So I brought up the rose thing because I was wondering about why is it socialists online often use roses in their symbolism? You know, they'll have a rose on their profile name or they'll have a rose in their title. There was a guy that we debated a couple of times on my other channel, Honey Badger Radio, called Rose Wrist. And he was a socialist that was trying to, like, you know, he would debate people on socialism, the merits of socialism. And that's why, because it comes from that usage of a rose by any other name would smell as sweet that MLK said, because that's what communism does. It rebrands itself as something that appears harmless or even benevolent, and that's how it weasels its way in. And you have to be like adamant in rejecting that. So this movie makes a reference to the Weather Underground as some kind of noble thing, because the way the movie frames it is, because they failed in the 70s, we live in this totalitarian present that they're using in the film, which is supposed to be a reflection of where we're headed now, because they call it timely, right? And so go ahead.
I was going to say, it's not unlike the way that you know, Bill Gates has used the concept of genocidal population control and just rebranded it as vaccine culture. You know. You know, they're always looking for a way of like, how do we take the thorns off this rose? He's like, well, you don't. That's part of the rose. You know, it might have a nice bloom to it, but when you grab onto it, and if you're not looking, you're probably gonna get pricked. Yeah. So yeah, it's it is interesting, the word games and you know, the symbology and things like that. They'll try to you know, it's the soft sell. You know, say, oh well, this can't be that bad. Look at it's the whole idea of trying to focus on the ideology of things, and you know, like well, someone earlier when they were talking about in the comments about the whole thing, when we were talking about lesbian kissing and how well, what's wrong with me being able to see this and this and that. And it's like it's what you don't see. You know, it's the thing that goes beyond the surface layer, and that's what a lot of this stuff is ultimately about. Is how can I package this to you? You know, if I shit on a bun and bring it out to you and serve it to you, and you're like, I'm not going to eat this shit, and then you're like, oh, clearly we made a mistake. Hold on. We'll fix this right up. And they just take it back to the kitchen and they just put a fresh new wrapper on it, and then here you go. And then, oh, good. This is better now. You know, that's all the stuff is. You get the same old shit time and time again, just served with a new veneer of civility or social causes, you know, trying to wrap around what is ultimately there, and that's you know, the conceit that's behind it all. And if they can get you to bite into it, swallow it down, and then once it's inside you, you know, that's the insidious leverage that they're working towards, so that you just start to normalize it. That's all this incrementalism that you're mentioning. That's what it's about. Yeah.
Yep. So I got a trailer. Somebody asked me, Gabriel asked if I can show a trailer. So I'll show you guys the trailer for this. We'll look at it right now. And I also want to point out the pregnant woman. I'll explain a little bit of that in the plot. I don't know if it's going to come on the trailer. This is trailer number 2, so it might show a little bit more, okay?
What I'm doing here is I'm creating a closed circuit. Very important to keep your cap shunted like this so you don't accidentally detonate your charge.
Don't stop. I want you to create a show. This is an announcement on revolution. The message is clear.
I'll be seeing you very soon.
Not if I see you first.
We're bringing justice to the vigilante group known as the French 75. We are here to award Stephen Lockjaw with the Medal of Honor.
You have to understand, Willa.
Me and Mom used to run around and do some real bad shit. They got hurt. Now they're coming after us. I'm sorry.
I didn't ask for this. That's just how the cards were rolled out for me.
It's not cards. You don't roll cards. It's dice.
Dad, what is wrong with you?
You're right.
Let's go. I got a tunnel.
Whoa, what's going on?
I need a weapon, man. All you got is goddamn nunchucks. You know where I can get a gun?
I wanted to protect you from all your mom's stuff and all my stuff, even though I know that's impossible.
This is the end of the line.
Not for you.
Whoa, who's this?
Oh, they're just my friends.
Now, is that a he or a she or a they?
It's not that hard. They, them.
Okay, I just want to be polite.
Keep running, jumping the aqueducts, fire hydrants and hazardous smoke alarms on the back of us. But mama, don't cry for me, rap for me, try for me, live for me, breathe for me, sing for me.
Yo, say it. Say it, baby.
Love you, Bob.
Love you too.
You know what freedom is? No fear. Just like Tom Cruise.
There you go.
Wow.
So the pregnant lady is the I guess the partner. I don't know if they got married because, you know, that would be patriarchal oppression, but Leo's baby mama, and there's like a 70s section, I guess, and then they fast forward to the near future where they live under Sean Penn's authoritarian rule. and the baby is grown and she's like this, you know, mulatto revolutionary that's like progressive. So I mean, like, look, I think that this is all on purpose. Now there is, I mentioned in the description that there's like woke lag, and what I mean is there were a lot of films that were and shows that were being worked on before the 2024 election. And so the people who were making them were pretty sure Kamala was going to win and that all of this was just going to do gangbusters, because if Kamala would have won, then that would have been a mandate that says, you know, the majority of people in the United States are leftists and they'll want this kind of content. It'll like reaffirm their already existing beliefs. But it turned out that didn't turn out that way. And Hollywood can't change course before some of the stuff they've already made, because these movies are being worked on for years, has to be released, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's why I made the thumbnail that I did, you know, Ghost of DEI, because it is a specter of things that are still resident,
Yes,
at this point in time. Yeah.
So basically, here's the thing too, is I haven't seen this movie, but this is what I think is going on here. And maybe I'm reading into it too much, but I don't tend to do that because I'm usually pretty correct in my instincts. And it's not a boast. I'm just saying, like, sadly,
Right.
So you get this movie. It's pointing out, it's essentially making the case that in the 70s we were living through a time of social upheaval and change. And of course, the way the left would frame it is necessary change, like good change, right? Civil rights, feminism, these things were happening in the 70s, really important. And of course, some revolutionary communism that was going on too. Now, of course, the revolutionary communism was sort of stamped down because it was a little bit too out in the open and something had to be done about it. A lot of the people in the Weather Underground were thrown in jail. I think some of them died. A couple of the radicals are alive and they actually work as professors now. Like, they work in our schools. So they're not gone. And they're basically living quietly, still having their same commie beliefs, but they live among us in the United States. And now we are many years in the future, and there's like a desire to make the current, the current time we're living in, feel like a repetition of the same emotions and specifically opportunities that happen in the 70s.
Right.
So they're doing this thing where you have these burned out old revolutionaries from the 70s, and now there's an opportunity for them to like recapture that glory from back then. And you can see that when you look at the kind of stuff that's been happening. Like the guy who tried to assassinate Trump the second time was like some old pro-Ukraine boomer guy. And there were a couple of other boomers that ended up like getting caught for something, and then, of course they're vocal online as well. So you do have like that same thing, because the boomers, they have this, they were the hippies, right? And the hippies were basically like, a lot of them had sympathy to socialism, at least, if not outright communism, and feminism for sure. So they're carrying that belief into the present. It's almost like we haven't lived outside of that paradigm that they have maintained ever since, like, they have been around ever since the 60s and 70s. So what I think is going on with this story is, as this is based on what I know about the ending, in the end, the daughter, the mixed race daughter, becomes the leader of a new revolution in the sort of like, in the current whatever, in the storyline. So it's basically saying to the young people, pick up your Molotov cocktails and join the fight, because the boomers are dying off, but they, and I think that you have to do something to stop this. And I think I think that's the message.
Right.
I mean, and of course it is also, it's got all the hallmarks of like, Black activism in it, with the Black protagonists, and feminism, because you have this woman holding a fucking machine gun. I don't know what kind of gun it is, but it's extreme. I don't think a pregnant woman could fire that, but she does.
Right.
And yeah, I think that that's what I think is going on here. So, if you want to say anything about that?
Well, I mean, just she evidently doesn't really even know how to hold the gun, because that's going to cause damage to her unborn child. The buttstock needs to be up.
Maybe that's why her kid grew up retarded.
Right. It needs to be up against your shoulder. Try. Yeah, I mean that is not even like totally just jacked up dude still has to hold the gun fairly appropriately, unless you really worked your way around. This is a whole bunch of just surface level insanity, trying to masquerade
awards, though.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, it's going to win awards, and I think people are going to be like, look, I'm not saying it's going to be effective. Again, I think this is a product of woke lag,
right?
But we'll see how it goes. So but yeah. Brandor said, "Oh, I got a Rumble rant from Zeranx. Yep. Thank you, Zeranx. He gives us $5 and says, your initial description made me think of Fox's Dark Angel, starring Jessica Alba and Michael Weatherly. I think that story was attached to James Cameron as well. Yeah, I think he produced it, but I never watched it. But yeah. Great Endora says, masterpiece, your voice of reason from the Department of Culture. You know what? I wouldn't be surprised if the government goes left again. They're going to make a Ministry of Culture and Entertainment so they can control our entertainment. That's why we have to destroy them completely.
Yeah.
Master Goa says, most importantly, they call themselves socialist. Mao didn't set up schools of communism. He set up schools of socialism. Yes. Well, yes, of course. Because socialism sounds nicer too, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, let me see. Gabriel says, feminist John Connor. Yeah, basically. Iris Rhoda, welcome.
Yeah.
Welcome to the chat. Evening to you.
One of my co-panelists from this channel. Yep.
Thanks for coming by. And then Master Goa gives us $5. Thank you, Master Goa, and says, Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection is coming soon. Also, Mortal Kombat Conquest is now on HBO Max. Z just dropped a MKC vid in general chat. Please watch. Okay. I mean, is it like in general chat? I don't see it. Oh, in the Discord server. Oh, let me see. It depends on how long it is. Oh, is this like a clip? Because I'll open it up and see. It depends on how long it is. It's a minute and a half. That's okay. We can look at it. Okay. So let's before we do that, one more little story I want to get into, and then we'll look at that, and then I think we can wrap it up. So just something kind of funny that I learned. If you're a Warhammer 40,000 fan, you might find this interesting. And so let me just tell you really quick what happened. So on October 1st, 2025, do you guys hear about the breach at Warhammer? A staggering breach rocked Games Workshop, the custodians of the Warhammer 40,000 universe, when an anonymous leaker dumped a comprehensive archive of 3D STL files for virtually every model in the franchise onto torrent sites and file sharing platforms. All right.
Oh, Jesus.
This trove, encompassing Space Marines, Orcs, Tyranids, Necrons, and beyond, total thousands of high-fidelity digital blueprints designed for 3D printing, sourced allegedly from internal Games Workshop design pipelines. The files went viral within minutes, racking up over 180,000 downloads in a frantic 2-hour window before moderators, cybersecurity firms, and Games Workshop's rapid response team scrambled to issue takedown notices under DMCA provisions. Platforms like the Pirate Bay and Mega saw unprecedented traffic spikes, with hobbyist forums on Reddit and YouTube channels like Every Warhammer 40K Model Just Got Leaked, amplifying the chaos through screenshots and hasty mirrors. So, I mean, they got, like, Games Workshop has their legal hounds pursuing mass deletions, but I think the damage is done, guys. I think it's all ogre.
Indeed.
But maybe the normies will still pick up some models, or you guys could drop the price a bit.
Right.
3D printer go burr.
Right?
Oh
right.
no. Yeah. So
maybe don't fuck with your lore and try to do all this silly bullshit. You'll have people that remain loyal to you. But when you go and sell yourself out for ideological messaging,
that's right. That's right.
That's what you get.
Well, anyway, I just thought that was funny.
Right.
Let's go ahead and let me see what you guys want to say anything about that. All right, so let's take a look at this Mortal Kombat Conquest. Is this like a movie coming out or something?
No, Conquest. This would have been like back in the late '90s, mid to late '90s. This used to be a show on TNT.
Kung Lao's Dark Vision 2025 upload. Wow, they were really trying to make this a thing, huh? Let's see. I don't know what this is.
There burns a soul of a warrior. In every generation, a few are chosen to prove it.
What in the world?
Centuries ago, in a time of darkness and fury, that fate befell 3 strangers. A monk, Kung Lao. An exiled guard, Zero. And the thief, Taja. Who have to defend our Earth realm from the forces of Outworld.
Right.
By fighting for their lives. By fighting for their honor.
Your soul is mine.
And by fighting for their realm.
It's the burden you must carry.
Right, exactly.
Tournament called,
you know what?
Mortal Kombat.
Remember back in the day, the action pack adventures, Hercules, Xena, all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, right. That's what I was thinking. I don't have a problem with this. It's kind of fun. We'll do that CGI though.
Yeah. So they wanted to do a series back in the day, but they couldn't have it be the central characters, and so that's where they came up with those three.
Let the games begin.
Yeah.
Well, Kung Lao is a central character. I
Yeah.
mean.
But more or less, like they had to try to create an expanded narrative. But yeah, that series is from 30 years ago, basically at this point.
Yeah, for sure. That's funny. Thanks for sharing that.
Indeed.
Okay.
I feel old. I
It
remember
also had a lot
watching
of
the
fan
debut
service,
episode.
apparently, yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm?
Yeah. I remember watching the debut episode of that. It was on after WCW Monday Nitro, if I remember correctly.
Kevin Michael Richardson narration. It sounded a bit like Mr. Krabs, from
SpongeBob. Yep.
Yeah, I forget his name for some reason, but a little bit anyway. The Kurgan. But anyway, all right. So,
Clancy Brown.
Yes, Clancy Brown. Right. That's what it sounded a little bit like to me, anyways. All right. So I think that is it. It was 12:57, so I think we can just wrap it up here. Let me just see. Clancy Brown, thank you. Yeah. Centuries ago, 90s Eurobeat music. Yeah. But you got to admit, though, there's something didn't sound like Clancy Brown. Okay, maybe I'm wrong. I'm just saying that it sounded familiar to me, though. But anyway, you got to admit there's something nostalgic about that. It does remind me of, like you mentioned, Xena and Hercules, and like the old Highlander TV show.
Adrian Paul. Yep. Renegade.
Yep. Renegade. Yes, right. What we got to bring that back. Can we have that back? That was fun.
Yeah.
Like we need something like that, something lighter. Oh man, it was a show that I loved as a kid. Captain Power.
Okay.
You remember that? He used to come on like Saturdays early in the morning. It was just a weird time of day. And if you had the Captain Power toys, I didn't have them, but if you had them, you can play with them while watching the show. And the show was kind of hardcore. People died in it and shit. And like it had Sven Thorson in it, the guy who's always the stunt double for Schwarzenegger and in a lot of his movies. So
yeah, it's
super
like
cool.
Back during Max Headroom time frame.
Yeah, Max Headroom. Master Goa says the show was great. Vorpax was the hot. Young Shang Tsung was awesome. It ended on a different note. Wow, that's cool. Yeah, I never even heard of it. But anyway, all right. So I think that's it. So we're gonna wrap it up there. Thanks, guys, for joining me on the show. Thank you, John, for coming on. What do you got going on this week?
Tomorrow over on Will of Fans channel, I'll be there with Will and Iris, who was in the chat earlier. We'll be reviewing episodes 1 and 2 from season 5 of Red Dwarf, and then that will be early in the morning at 9 a.m. Eastern, and we do that throughout the week at that time on Sundays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays. I'll also be with Toasty again this Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern on her channel, where I hang out with her and as her producer / co-host throughout the week on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, and when schedule allows for it. Otherwise, we always just try to go around that time of day. So she might be doing something tonight. And depending on what I've got going on, I might pop in there for a few minutes. But other than that, though, I'll just be here again with you next weekend at this time. I will probably be looking at various things that are currently on the Steam sale, seeing if they're worth my consideration. I did think about Splinter Cell earlier, as I was saying, but Ubisoft, I'm just kind of like, I'm a little bit, I don't know. Yeah. There's so many things now where I'm like, I could, yeah, I could get that, but also at the same time, I don't want to give them any support. So I just would, I guess, instead just say
you can
thank
get a used copy. That's like
very true. Well,
yeah, and
that's the thing is, I actually used to play. I played through all those games too. So there's part of me just kind of like, am I really going to play them again? Like it's $250. Is that one of those things that's just going to go in my library and just sit there? But so I've kind of reduced myself to I've got the Metal Gear series. I should play through that before I really do anything else. I'm still playing through Death Stranding, but I do want to thank everybody on all the various platforms who took time out of their day to spend with us. Early in the morning on our way to noon, or past noon, depending on your time zone. And always appreciate these conversations I get to have with you at the end of the week. Gives me a little bit more time to get into the details I'm not able to do in some of these other shows because it's just you and I. So I always appreciate these conversations quite a bit. But with that said, though, safe travels ahead, everyone. Y'all have a wonderful weekend going forward. And, of course, be awesome as always.
All right. Well, thank you for all of that, John. And just for you guys, you know that this is Spooktober. So I'm going to be playing like horror or spooky themed games, which means I'm going to try, and I hope I can, but I'm going to try to play some Resident Evil 5 with Lindsay today, if I'm able to, or tomorrow. It'll be today or tomorrow, depending on her mood. I think I can get her to do some Resident Evil 5. And next week, I'm going to be playing #Blood again because I got the Werewolf DLC, and I think that that would be one I want to get through and finish, as well as other games like Call of Cthulhu, perhaps Phasmophobia, and I think I have Murky Divers and stuff like that. So also Resident Evil. So yeah, be on the lookout for that. Lots going on there. Thanks, guys, for coming on the show. Hopefully you'll join me for that. And, maybe we can play some games together. If you guys have a copy or are interested, hit me up by joining the Discord server, which is linked in the description. If you're having issues, I can put like a new one in. I usually keep a permanent link in there, but sometimes, the Discord is weird. So anyways, with all that said, thanks, guys, for coming on the show. If you guys like this video, please hit like, subscribe if you're not already subscribed. Hit the bell for notifications, leave us a comment, let us know what you guys think about what we discussed on the show today. And please, please, please share this video because sharing is caring. Thank you guys so much for coming on today's episode of The Week in Culture. And we'll talk to you guys in the next one. Long live Vivian.
With the glass ceiling broken, all the oppressed groups shall prosper, especially the most oppressed group of all, gamers.
I want people in the industry to be a little bit louder about people being mean to other people, and maybe say it's not a good thing.
Yeah.
Maybe say we don't want you around if you're going to be a cunt.
Yeah.
And hateful. And that the games industry is diverse naturally. Not because anyone's making them be diverse. Because the world is diverse, you stupid motherfucker. And if you have a problem with that, come fight me. Physically. Bitch.
Has anyone taken you up on that yet?
No, because they're all pussies.
Yep.
Down here, salt is a way of life.
Obviously, the environment down here is all salt. The ceiling's salt, the floor is salt, the walls are salt, and to an extent, the air is salt. And you breathe that in, and you can constantly taste the salt.